So hi, this is Nick Williams. I'm sitting here with Richard Olivier in your offices here in Fulham. Nice to see you. How you doing?
Thank you. Good, very well.
Good. So we've known each other for about 20 years through work that we've done together over the years. And your passion is kind of human potential, isn't it? And liberating what's inside every human being.
Yeah.
So your company helps people unleash their potential through leadership work.
Absolutely.
So where does this passion for potential come from for you? What ignited it in you?
I think, although they weren't necessarily ideal role models in every area of their life, both my parents were very committed to continually improving how they expressed themselves in the world. So they're both well-known actors. They both have very successful careers, and you know, they never actually got complacent. It was never like, I know how to do this. It was, how can I do this better? How can I express
So they loved their craft. And
they loved their craft and the art of acting. And I grew up in that environment and knew there was something in the theatre that was inspiring to me. Initially, my first career was as a theatre director. And after about 10-15 years of that, I began to realise that wasn't where my real passion lay. It was connected, but it wasn't quite it.
So it was in the vicinity, but not quite.
Close, but no cigars, they say. And then in the work that we met in, the men's development work, I really discovered that myths aren't just about entertainment. I mean, we kind of knew that anyway, but actually, when people engage with myths in a very conscious way, those myths can transform them.
So that's like archetypal ideas that are universal in a way.
Yeah.
Both eternal and universal.
Yeah.
So stories that we tell about ourselves, and your passion has been Shakespeare as well, hasn't it? Because that's kind of universal.
Yeah, I went from the fairy tales and the myths that we were using in the mythopoetic men's development to create my own kind of form that we call mythodrama, which adds the theatre techniques so people actually live through the myth rather than just imagine it.
So they understand the myth, but then they begin to embody and live the myth.
Yeah. And what we find is that the embodied knowledge is what sticks and makes the learning hopefully very memorable and very accessible for them. So I then began to really explore the kind of, you might call them more spiritual, esoteric sides of theatre and acting, and noticed that, you know, the original shamans were the original actors of every tribe. So they were the kind of sacred holders of story, and their job was both to tell people where we've come from, but also to imagine where we're going, and a vision quest.
And that's kind of spark to imagination, which is kind of so poor in many areas today. So
absolutely.
So you're fascinated by imagination, imagining how things can be different. Yeah,
and you know, the root of the word imagination has both magi in it, which is wisdom, and magic. So there's wisdom and magic and imagination. And a lot of people's imaginative impulses get reduced to entertainment, which can be, you know, a great Friday, Saturday night out, but it can detract them from imagining themselves as being better. So we also connect the kind of imaginative seed with what we might call the evolutionary impulse. So we do, as human beings, have the capacity to recognize who we are, imagine who we could come, and then start acting our way.
Become what we imagine.
The rehearsal makes it real. And so the theatre methodology does work quite well for that route to developing oneself. It's very hard to say, well, I'm going to be like this, so suddenly I'm like that. But you find little ways to start filling that out, learning to play the new role, play the part.
Embody that.
Yeah, but essentially what I'm after is that people become the leading actor in their lives and not a support or a spear carrier.
So they are the leading force in their lives. And do you find almost automatically by doing that people become an inspiration to other people because they're inhabiting their own life?
If they are willing to. We find that the one thing that stops or inhibits that is if people have, they may be personally very confident with their own creativity, but if they don't actually want to really engage with others, it's very hard for them to be seen as a leader. But if they are willing to take that risk and step up and be seen and put their head above the parapet, then all these other techniques can help them do that effectively and confidently.
And just one thought, how do you keep your own passion and inspiration alive? How have you nurtured that over the last 20 years of the work that you've been doing? Because my sense is you love it today as much as ever after 20 years. I
do, yeah. Just finished 2 days in Germany yesterday, and I was just kind of beaming from it. I just loved the work, loved the colleagues I was working with, and working with a great group. It was fantastic. It's hard to say. I think it's about remaining connected and being willing to ask yourself some courageous questions every so often. Is this what I want to do with the rest of my life?
And to stay at the threshold and frontier of your own life, that kind of idea?
Yeah, absolutely. And to notice when it changes, you know. And for me right now, I've been passionate about professional development for 12, 15 years, and some of my early passion for personal development is now beginning to come back in the field. And some writing that I haven't really done before to do, but more creative writing. So I think it's very important that even if we have a career that feels like a long-term career, we really keep reimagining those sources of inspiration.
Yeah, I've certainly found that following my calling for the last 20 years. It's not a static thing, it's a constantly evolving thing. It's almost like you have to keep shedding kind of limiting ideas of what you are and what you're capable of, and you keep emerging into a new sense of yourself. And is that what keeps you kind of alive and vibrant with it?
I mean, constantly try to do it for myself, and you know, because I teach it to other people as well, it kind of becomes a bit of a duty to do it for myself. So.
Otherwise you feel a bit hypocritical, don't you?
Absolutely.
So great. Well, thanks for taking the time to have this conversation. I hope you've enjoyed watching it, and thank you very much. All the best.
Thank you.
Cheers.